Well, apparently we're live now. So, hi. Hello there. My name's Tom, not that it matters. I'm one person, one Canadian. This is my filibuster, or part of it. And today on YouTube, we're going to be talking about common sense and the lack thereof. If anybody wants to leave their comments and their questions, I will be actively looking at that particular section as much as I can. So, I went on a little filibuster today on Facebook. This is kind of the tail end of it for the day, or not. Maybe, possibly, I might. If anything comes to my mind, maybe I will get back on here. But you know what? There's only so much you can do, right? Or could you do more? Or maybe doing less is appropriate. I don't know. This is what I know. Having a conversation about topics that are important um, is important. So, common sense, intuition, the uh, the inward knowledge or intelligence that we have, all of us, that apparently we avoid most times. Common sense. We know what's right, what's wrong, what's more optimal, what's not working. But do we decide to change? Do we decide to use this common sense and do something completely different that makes more sense? Commonly, no, we do not. So, here we are. It's just you and me talking. My two concurrent viewers. That's a record, I think. What am I missing here? Like, I'm looking at a government, or a number of different governments, but one in particular that I woke up today. Shouldn't have watched CNN, but I did. But one government and one media institution discussing impeachment and corruption and things like that. Um, but are we really applying common sense to all of these problems? Like, does it make sense to be at war continually? Does it make sense to be under the threat of war or um, violence of any kind? Does it make sense to use violence to create change? Does it make any sense that a government would occupy another country um, under the disguise of um, the hope that these places would become democracies that are more fair for the people? It's a disguise, right? So usually about um, if it's always about resources. So common sense tells me that we're at war for really horrible reasons. It revolves around the need to have more. Greedy, selfish individuals. For the most part, this is true. Now, we know this, and we refuse to listen to common sense. Now, common sense. Is it common sense to believe that love, compassion, kindness, all those fruits of the Spirit, if there are any Christians out there, are these things important? Do these things make sense? Okay, if we're going to get into, religious teachings and what Jesus said, I know a few things. What was the importance of these things to us as human beings and how we relate to one another? Well, currently, it doesn't seem that important. It seems like we've completely disregarded common sense for something other, something less than what we could have. Now, let's just look at what we have. What do we have? What do we have? Anybody? I got one concurrent viewer. I lost one, and now I have one. That's fine. Between the two of us, maybe we can make a little bit more sense of what is going on around us now. I would much rather be doing something else. I would much rather be exploring this planet and doing anything but talking about politics and government. That's for sure. That was never something I was ever interested in. But common sense would tell me that the people that are making the decisions for me and for us are corrupt, for the most part. And it would also seem that we've become desensitized to it and okay with it and have allowed it to happen, so we're part of the fucking problem, right? Yes? No? Maybe? So I'm open for comments. I've looked, and there are none. And that is pretty much what I'm used to. So I'll continue this diatribe, this filibuster, this thing that I'm doing. Is it serving a purpose? Well, who knows? Who cares? I'm trying. I think that's all that we can do. I have little influence. This is what I know. I have little influence. I have little power. None. And nor do I want power. Anybody who wants power should not be in power or powerful positions where they're deciding for other people what needs to happen. In fact, these people, common sense would tell me that these people in a democracy or a republic, or I don't know how they all work, but apparently in a democracy, we should all have voices, but we don't, right? Because we see what's around us. We see that there are people that are making decisions for us without consulting us, and we give them consent to do it. So, does this make sense? Like, is it working? So we gotta ask ourselves, is this working anymore? Or not? Maybe I'm just, I'm seeing something that's not even there. Please, comments, questions, concerns. Can one person make a difference? Can one thought create a revolution? Something that's better? Can one thought contribute to the collective thought that's out there, that exists, that people aren't really talking about? Does it exist? Does it matter? What is it? What is this thing that we can't name that is important, that permeates everything? Maybe we should talk about these things more. Maybe we should set our religions aside. Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Taoists, whatever. Maybe we should just go with what makes sense. What's the common sense that is built into all of us? And are we accessing our true intelligence? I would say a resounding no, we are not. Collectively speaking, this is not happening. But there are obviously people that are thinking along these lines, and it's incumbent on us to get together and figure out some solutions. Now, it's all well and good to point out the facts that society's broken and humanity is profoundly sick. This is something that is necessary, but without action or without some kind of, plan? Like, do we need a plan? Or do we need to change ourselves completely, the way we think? Maybe thinking less, or thinking with, heart intelligence, or the universe's intelligence, or whatever word you want to put on something that we can't really define. Is there a deeper intelligence that's more intelligent, that truly understands more than the mind that has gotten us in the predicaments that we find ourselves in constantly in our own specific life, in our relationships, in our jobs, and then bigger picture in our world, the way we govern, the way we manipulate and control other people, the way wealth is stockpiled, and only a few people have the majority of the wealth and the control, and most people are just living day by day in fear of losing what they have, or not being able to feed themselves, not having a roof over their head or a warm bed to sleep in. Is this working? Does this make any sense to us? It shouldn't, but we've allowed it to happen. So how responsible are we to fixing this problem? And how can we do it if we don't understand how connected we all are? If we all are living in a separate mode of thinking, if we all think that it's about us, and we continue down the road of selfish, greedy ways of being, then we'll continue down this road, and the road actually turns into eventually a cliff with no bottom, because that goes eternal that way too. And do you really want to live in a place on a planet where greed is the number one lack of better word thing, the number one thing that people gravitate towards? the the main um the end game to acquire more. That's where we're at. To have more, to buy more, to consume more. Like, when is it going to stop? When are we going to understand that greed is not working, and it will never work? There's a point of no return, and we're approaching that precipice, that event horizon where once you go past it, there's no turning back. So have we gone past that point? Have certain countries gone past that point, i.e. the United States of America? There are good people in the United States of America making shitty decisions on a daily basis. Common sense is not at the forefront of their decision-making process. Fact. Now, good people, is it good enough to be good? Where is goodness? Where has that ever gotten us? Where has that title ever gotten us? Especially when we do shitty things like continue wars that we should never be in, to support a military and a government institution that is based entirely on monopolizing resources around the world and enforcing it through military means. Like, common sense would say that violence never helps, and if you're an aggressor, which the United States of America is an aggressor, they're not defending when they are occupying other countries. They're not defending when they assassinate second in commands. They are not there's a huge difference between defending and offending. There's a big difference between defense and offense. One is necessary. One leads to more offense on both sides, and usually there's only two sides, and then everybody's stuck in the fucking middle trying to make sense out of it, and it doesn't, because common sense is not being used. Am I right? I'm gonna check. So I'm live streaming on YouTube right now. Opening it up a little bit. I got one concurrent viewer. No comments. That's fine. There was one time where I had a comment and I totally bypassed the comment because I'm not used to even having comments on YouTube. You would think after being on YouTube for, I don't know, with this name for maybe close to a year that this would maybe catch on. But it's an unpopular topic. Most topics I talk about are unpopular, that's for sure. So maybe maybe I'm not using common sense if I wanted to, I don't know, be popular on fucking YouTube. I don't want to be popular. Don't need it. I tell two friends, you tell two friends, and so on and so on and so on. You tell two friends, they tell two friends, and so on and so on. Multiplication. This is how it fucking works. If we want change to happen, if we don't think that our voice matters or that it has any bearing on the course that humanity takes, you would be fucking wrong. Sorry for swearing, Mum. You know, we gotta go in with this with a little bit of common sense. Not a little bit. Let's use common sense and our intuition, that built-in mechanism that says, you know what, this is right, this is wrong in every different situation. And the truth of the fucking matter is that The truth is always changing. That's a constant. So, in every situation, there's the most optimal solution to every problem. So, let's do some triage on these things. Okay? What's a problem? You know, recently I've been watching these Democratic debates that their focus is telling, what's important. Medicare. Okay, so people are concerned about how they're going to afford their drugs. Okay, not all drugs are created equally, by the way. Insulin is a necessary thing, and it should not fucking cost money if you're saving people's lives. This is a problem. Profit when it comes to pharmaceuticals is a real fucking problem. And patents on these things, patents on good ideas, whether it's pharmaceuticals or any other idea, to own an idea is one of humanity's hugest flaws, because we could fix every fucking problem out there if the people with money stopped buying the patents and controlled the ideas. It's an illusion to have a patent. The whole thing is an illusion. Money is an illusion. It's created out of nothing. It's a piece of paper or cotton, or it's a coin, or it's perceived value. Does this make any sense to anybody that we put so much value into these things that we've created? These things that not everybody has access to anyways. Most of the world's wealth is in just a handful of people's hands. Maybe not a handful. It's probably more than 5. But you get the point. No? Let's see. So I'm going to go over to my YouTube little live streaming page, and I'm going to see if there's any comments. No, there's no comments. I got one. Do I even have one? There's one concurrent viewer. Today's topic is the lack of common sense that is obviously around us. Government. The fact that we don't use our common sense to pick apart the evident flaws, it's so obvious that our government is broken and serves only the interest of the people that have, and continually put a stranglehold and have influence over people that don't. Is this a problem? Is this still a problem? Have we fixed this yet? And why haven't we? We've got the fucking internet. We can talk and communicate. We can communicate with each other with the greatest ease. We've never known this before, and it gets better or more accessible anyways. But what happens is that people are listening to the wrong shit. They're more concerned about the sports page, the entertainment, the film industry, going to the next Star Wars fucking movie. That story has been rehashed I don't know how many times. Like, creativity, when you see creativity on the decline, you know that we're missing something. Okay? There are no real original scripts out there, and if they are original, nobody's watching them, and they're not being promoted because they don't have the money, because money apparently dictates what is seen. So, is there a problem? Do we all agree that this is a problem, first of all, and do we agree that it needs to change? Obviously, if we agree that it's a problem, it should change, right? Now, do we agree that we all have the capacity, the influence as an individual if we use the tools that we have accrued over a lifetime? Do we all agree that one thought, one idea changes the course of the universe, changes the course of everything? Like one thought, negative, positive, I don't care what you put on it. If you focus on it, then it changes, right? Is that right? Common sense would say that, well, my intuition would say that it's right, but I can't convince anybody of this. The only one that can convince themselves of this is themselves. So, think about it. Don't trust me. Don't listen to me. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a 48-year-old man, and for some reason, I found myself with no money. Well, I didn't find myself. That's a decision I made. I've either spent it or I've given it away. Don't ask me why. Now you can ask me why. I don't know. It's not important. The thing is, the fact is that money and greed are at the root of our problem. So, drastic measures have to be taken. If we decide that money is not important, and then we come up with a better solution, like maybe trade or something like that, or some other currency or whatever it is, something different than what is transpiring now, we base all of the world's economy on the US dollar. Does this make any sense to us? Are we using our common sense by participating in this system any longer? Banks. When was the last time your bank served you well? When was the last time your bank offered you money for free? When was the last time a bank wasn't concerned about the bottom line and taking from the poor and giving breaks to the rich? When was the last time that happened in bank? Are banks working for us now? Are governments working for us now? No. Come on. Right? I'm going to check. I'm live right now, coming to you live from Penticton, British Columbia, Canada. I'm at the Beaumont Motel, room 240, if anybody wants to come and join me. I got 7 subscribers on my YouTube channel, so, I'm pretty popular. And I'm checking right now to see if I have any comments. No comments. That's fine. That's usually par for the course on Facebook as well, and I have more people listening to me on Facebook. But are we finished listening to each other? Honestly, have we listened to ourselves? When you really think about the opinions that you have and how they formed, have they come from your own person, or have they come from some kind of ideology, religion, government institution, some platform like a Republican or a Democratic slant? Like, where have you? Are you just receiving information because someone's told you to think a certain way, or have you really thought about it, combining your heart, your core intelligence with this clever thing we call a mind? This thing here is sick. It's sick. For sure it is. We keep repeating the same patterns over and over again, and these patterns don't serve us well. So what happens? We wear this thing out. It causes stress, anxiety, sleep disorders, whatever. It has a negative effect, and stress kills. Stress does a lot of things internally. There are there are studies that are being done scientifically that measure how stress even affects our cells in our body. It mutates the cells. A stressful environment will create even a water molecules, a frozen, like a snowflake. If you have a snowflake and if it's under stress, it comes out different. But if it's not, and it forms, and if it's not a stressful environment, it comes out beautiful. And the patterns are different all the time. Beautiful patterns. I don't know too much about science. I just throwing that out as a something to think about. How stress affects everything and makes us sick, right? So like stress, like if an animal is stressed out before it's slaughtered for food, if it's treated in a shitty way, it mutates the taste of the meat. So stress affects everything. We're dying early because of stress. Stress causes cancer. Stress causes all sorts of depression, whatever box you want to put people in. Stress causes it. So the root of it is stress. And to add more medication on top of the already medication that you're probably taking for it, it's not helping. Now, what do we do? Where are we at? Where are we at right now? What are we talking about? Does any of this make any sense? Like, does common sense make sense? Are we using our common sense? I'm looking right now for comments. Nah, there's nothing here. I think I'm done on YouTube right now. I'm tired. I think I'm going to take a nap and I'm going to think about some things. And I'm going to unlearn as much as I can. More. I'm going to unlearn more, and then what? What am I going to do? Well, I got no money. I got no influence. But I do, right? I do. We do. All of us have influence. All of us has something to say. People have convinced us, and it's only a small group of people that have convinced us that we do not, and they are the only ones with the answers. The United States is in really poor shape. They like to think that they are the beacon of hope, that they are the freest country in the entire world, or, that they have something to teach us. Well, the United States is not this way. There's a number of reasons why I think this. It doesn't matter what I think, but the facts are that government, religion, all sorts of different ideologies, businesses, they manipulate the majority of people to think a certain way. So, are you really free? Are you really free? Is it really a democracy? Well, if it was a democracy at one time, it's surely not a democracy now. You have a president that is connected with criminal activity continually. He lies, he cheats, he is unkind, he lacks compassion, he panders to groups that will follow him to the end and give them, small things like, okay, well, I'll sign this bill for you evangelists. We're all Christians here. He'll pretend he's a Christian, but there is nothing. The fruits aren't there. If being a Christian means being a kinder, more compassionate, generous person, then he obviously does not reflect that. But the church in general does not reflect that anyway. So maybe the truth isn't important to the church. And when it comes down to it, all I see is the church as a money making machine, and they're part of the fucking problem. True. That's true. Yeah, that's true. So we covered some ground here. The lack of common sense is evident. We should be aware of this, and hey, maybe we just kind of think about it a little differently. Maybe we can come up with better solutions. Maybe government, the way it is right now, than politicians. Maybe we do away with all the politicians. Maybe we form a different government that allows people, every person, to have a voice, as it was intended, possibly in the beginning. But I don't know. That was a rocky start too. If you go into the history, don't ask me to go into the history and to name off names, because I'm not fucking doing it. Because I can't, and I won't. Look it up on the internet. Look into your history. Look into the ancient history that we were never taught. Look at how civilizations come to an end because they become greedy, selfish individuals. Look at how when civilizations, when people have more, they build more walls around their shit to keep more people out and to retain everything, and they let people die, and then eventually the people rise up. And violence usually is the end result. But I'm suggesting, hey, how about we not do the violent thing anymore, because that doesn't serve anybody. Violence only amounts to more violence. Violence begets violence begets violence. That's what I know. I don't know much, but I do know this. That's a truth. So, let's make better decisions. Let's not deal with these people anymore. Let's choke them out. Let's not pay our fucking taxes. Let's not use banks. How about this? How about we forego all our stuff? We'll put it all on the line. We'll sacrifice, because it does mean that we need to sacrifice something so that we can have everything. Everybody gets everything if they participate in a more fair way of being. Yeah? No? Maybe? I don't know. I'm just one guy. I'm just one dude. One Canadian 48-year-old unemployed male with nothing to his name, in debt to the government. Probably at this point about $14,000-$15,000. It keeps going up. There's interest on it. I do not owe it, but they do say I do, and I can't talk to anybody in person about it. So this is not a problem for me. I'm not asking for money to pay this debt off, because, it doesn't. I would rather your money go towards maybe taking a few people off the fucking street that are living in the cold, that are dying in the cold. That's a better place to put your money. If we want to use our money effectively, everybody deserves food, and everybody deserves a place to sleep, and everybody deserves the respect that you would want given to you. Yeah? I think. Or not. It's so confusing, but the answer is so simple. More compassion, more love, more kindness, more patience, less judgment, less hate, less jealousy, less of all the shitty stuff. Greed. Come on. Let's do away with the greed thing. That's a big thing. That's a big thing that rules everybody, most people. I say everybody a lot, but I mean the majority of people. And when I say the majority of people, I mean the majority of people. 90%, possibly. I don't know. 80, 90? I have no idea what the percentage is. I know it's that high, though, because I see it. I see it in my country, Canada being the most free country to live in, or, the United States likes to think they are too. But are we? Are we really? Come on. Think about it. We are not free. We can be free internally, that's one thing, but externally, we gotta face the facts. Freedom and slavery. Are we slaves to a system? Have we been manipulated to think that we have no say? Are we living paycheck to paycheck? Are we just getting by? Most of us are. Is the cost of living way too high? Who's making the money? There was just an article that I posted recently, and it was, I believe, Bell. If not Bell, it's one of the mobility companies, and they laid off thousands of employees, and then the CEO gives himself a big fucking bonus in the end. That's cool. That works. How about we not deal with those fucking companies anymore? How about we not deal with dirty oil? How about we take a stand? How about we put our bodies on the street, on the line, to keep people, keep companies, keep U.S. companies out of situations like the tar sands in Alberta? They're ruining our land. They're ruining. It's not even about the fucking resources at this point, and the amount of energy it takes to take the tar sands and create oil from it. And do we need to have fucking 2 cars? Do we even need to have 1 car? Should we be focused on alternative energies? And should there be a cost attached to it? Energy, free energy. It exists. It can happen. But there are people that don't want this to happen because they will lose their control. They will lose their power. They will lose their position. Eventually their wealth will dissipate. So they're going to do everything in their power to continually maintain this direction. We should have been off of oil a long fucking time ago. That's a fact. So, why do we continue? So, my name's Tom. I'm from Canada. Frustrated, for sure. Doing what I can, but what's next? How can we individually make better decisions? How can we change the direction, the course? My suggestion is be very leery of the people that you are giving your money to. If you have just understand where the money is going. Okay, the number one cost of living is probably rent. Are the rents too high? Well, what are we doing about it? Are we expecting the government to come in and change things and make it more affordable? Are we going to rely on them to pull back on the taxes so that we can breathe again. This is not going to happen. Our government possibly is beyond the point of repair and needs to be dismantled and start over again. And you know what? They would like you to believe that the bottom's going to fucking drop out and that we're going to be left with nothing in the end. That's not true. If we have any concern about our children or their children's children, the people that come after us, not even our children, but people in general around the world, we should be thinking in those terms. This is a long-term fucking project here on Earth. So, are we going to turn a blind eye to the obvious, like we've been doing for ever since I was born and long before that? We're going to continue this cycle, this pattern of greed, pride, maybe. That shouldn't stop us from discovering better solutions. That doesn't give us any reason to give up. If we don't do anything in our way with the tools that we have, if we don't do anything, we're culpable. We're responsible. So every individual has to look inside themselves, go deep inside, and think. Spend some time alone with no TV, no other influences, and really ponder these things. Yeah? No? Is there anybody out there? No? Alright, well that's it for YouTube. I'm gonna go lie down for a bit. I got a headache now. Have a good day. Bye.